Hello students, today we will study the next part of chapter 10 human health and diseases, and we are going to discuss about the adolescent issues. This is about the drugs and its addiction. This is the part of unit 3 biology and human welfare. So here what are the topics involved here? Drugs, effects and sources of opioids, cannabinoids, cocaine and barbiturates, and reasons for the addiction, prevention and control of drug. So commonly abused drugs are opioids, which is known as the heroin also, and the source is the acetylation of the morphine extracted from the latex of poppy plant, that is Papaver somniferum. So it is the source, consumed by snorting or injection. Snorting means by inhaling or in the form of injection. The properties of these opioids or the substance heroin, they are white in color, bitter and odorless. Mode of action means how does this drug affect the body parts or the body. So it binds to the opioid receptors present in the central nervous system, that is CNS, and GI tract, that is gastrointestinal tract. What is its effect? So effect, it is a depressant, slows down the body function. Cannabinoids, its source is the inflorescence of the plant cannabis sativa, and the various products are there in the cannabinoids like bhang, ganja, charas, marijuana. All these parts, these drugs, they are obtained from the different parts of the plant cannabis sativa. Consumed by inhalation or oral ingestion. Mode of action, the chemicals present in it, they binds to the cannabinoid receptors present in the brain. Effects, it affects the cardiovascular system. Habitual cannabis smokers, they run the risk of lung cancer. It suppresses ovulation and changes hormone levels in females and damages the fertility of male users. Cocaine, the sources of cocaine is the coca plant, that is Erythroxylum coca, found in South America. Consumed by snorting. Snorting means by inhaling. Mode of action, interference with the transfer of neurotransmitter, that is dopamine. And effect, stimulates the central nervous system, so shows the impact on the central nervous system, producing a sense of euphoria. Euphoria means that feeling of intense happiness, excitement and increased energy. Excessive doses causes the hallucination. Hallucination means feeling something which does not exist outside, means for example listening the different voices outside. It may have the positive or negative that effect, means the person may like hear. This is an example only of hearing. Some other that things also the person can feel which is not existing outside. So like hearing sometimes music, or sometimes the very like horrific voice or anything there. Okay, so what is hallucination? The feeling of a person about the things which does not actually exist. Now the drugs which are normally used as medicines, these are the barbiturates, amphetamines, benzodiazepines, LSD, lysergic acid diethylamines. They are used as medicines to help patients with the mental illness and insomnia. Now morphine, it is a painkiller which is used for patients who have undergone surgery, but it is also abused. Barbiturates, they are generally used as sedatives. Moderate doses produce a relaxing effect and relative stress. Larger doses impair one's physical, physiological or psychological functions. Now we'll study the drug abuse and causes. So these drugs are used medically for the treatment of the various disorders. But we'll study what is the drug abuse and what are the causes. So drug abuse normally starts in the adolescent period, that is the period between 12 to 18 years, the transition phase between the childhood and the adulthood. Many adolescents are motivated towards the drugs or the alcohol due to curiosity and experimentation. Just they want to know, they are curious about the effects of these drugs or the alcohol, and just for experimentation they started. Peer pressure, academic stress, unstable family structure that further incline youth towards the drug abuse. Perception of consuming drug being like cool and progressive, use of drug in television, movies, etc. further promotes this habit. Drug addiction. When a person uses drugs repeatedly, he becomes addicted. Addiction refers to the psychological attachment to certain effects, like such as euphoria that I explained you, that is intense feeling of happiness, euphoria, temporary feeling of well-being associated with the use of drugs or alcohol. In addiction, tolerance level of receptors present in our body increases towards the drug, and this drives the person to use them even when they are not required or when they tend to harm his health or family life. Subsequently, the user runs into a vicious circle of addiction and subsequent dependence. Dependence leads to the manifestation of withdrawal syndrome on discontinuation of the use. So that continuous, that long use of these substances, they cause addiction of that substance to that individual, and further its continuous use, it causes the dependence of individual on these drugs, and this dependence leads to the manifestation of the withdrawal syndrome. So if the person does not use these drugs or the alcohol, then certain that symptoms are shown by the individual, which are known as the withdrawal syndrome on discontinuation of the use. So what are these withdrawal syndrome or the symptoms? Anxiety, nausea, sweating, shakiness, and sometimes it may be lethal also. Immediate effects are there: vandalism, violence, and reckless behavior. Drop in academic performance, lack of interest in personal hygiene, rebellious behavior, and change in eating and sleeping patterns. Weight and appetite fluctuations are also seen. Mental, psychological, and financial loss not only to the user but also to his family. Those who take drugs intravenously have a high risk of acquiring deadly diseases like AIDS and hepatitis B. Damage to nervous system also, and the liver also, that is the cirrhosis. So these all are the effects of drug abuse. How can we prevent the drug abuse? So it is better to prevent the inclination of an individual towards these drugs or alcohol right from adolescence. So what are the ways? The ways to prevent it: avoid peer pressure. Understand the unique personality and capability of a child, because all are not same. Each individual has its own personality and its capability. Education and counseling: a child must be taught to accept success and failure equally. Okay, because everyone celebrates success, but no one comes and share the feeling during the failure of a person. So a child must be taught to accept success and failure equally. Especially during adolescence, he must be inclined towards constructive activities like music, yoga, sports, reading based on his interest. So what are the steps? Help from the parents and peers. Yes, this includes the proper guidance, advice, and trust to overcome problems such as stress and guilt from the parents also and from the peers also. Identifying the danger signals: if any sign of symptoms of the drug abuse is seen in the adolescent by the family or friends, then it should not be ignored, because prevention is better than cure. So one should means identify like the responsibility of the parents also and the peers also there to identify the danger signal in the adolescent. Seeking medical help: psychologists and the rehabilitation programs surely help an addict. Medical help should be sought to prevent further damage. So children, these are all about the drug abuse, the different type of drugs, their effect on the body. So you read the same topics from the book also.